to the wonderful Miss Crista Beck. Yay!
Hello, hello, hello. Here's my fiance fan. Love my hair.
Yeah, so she's wonderful dating expert. Wrote an amazing book about it, So today I kind of wanted to kind of go over a little bit with you, some of the things that you've learned over the years as far as like really connecting with people and helping them do and like really get better when it comes to like meeting people and I guess that dating process, because the dating process in general it's I think when you say dating, it's so much that goes along into that. Like it's so many different aspects of it.
Stages,
Yeah.
processes, decisions. Yes.
Yeah. So I guess to a point, like, could you kind of give me like a little background on yourself as far as like how long you've been doing the whole dating expert thing? Because you're like I said, when at first I found you, you're so well known, like you're so respected in your field, and I just had to have you on and just kind of talk to you a little bit about the dating life, the dating world, being a dating expert. So could you tell me a little bit about like what's that look like?
Well, I mean, I've been in the industry for over a decade now, and it all started back, in 2009, when I read Tim Ferriss's book, 4 Hour Work Week. Have you ever read that?
I read it a little bit. I think it was a while back.
Well, I don't know if you read the part where all I heard was start an online business and move to Thailand. So that's what I got out of the book. So that's what I did.
Yeah.
I didn't know what my online business was going to be, but I went to Thailand and I'm sitting on the beach, and I'm not the kind of person that sits on the beach for too long. I get bored. I like being a part of projects and doing things. So I was like, okay, what's going to be my online business? I was always passionate about, personal development, relationships. I even got my degree in communication, specializing in the communication between men and women. And I was like, let me just start a website and start giving advice and things like that. Within a few years, it grew to like 90,000 visitors a month were coming to my website.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's how it all started. And then from there, it just evolved into more helping people to heal from past relationship pain. Then it evolved more into helping people get powerful clarity to what I do today, which is like holding people's hand through the whole beginning stages of the dating process through to exclusivity. And then I also do matchmaking. And so I really just use my intuition when people come my way to really be present with them and really guide them, like what I see from my years of experience, what would be great next steps for them. So that's just like a little snippet of like, a little bit about me. But the main thing is I help single people find love again. And the people that come to me, they are just like tired of dating apps, the inauthenticity on there, the creeps on there, the fake profiles, and they're just not meeting people who are successful or intelligent enough or attractive enough for them, and they're just like it feels like work to them, and they just are. The people that come to me are really sincerely looking for a long-term situation, so they're just looking for a real connection with a quality person that has that potential. So that's kind of me in a nutshell. I mean, I can go on and on. I'm a complex woman, so
no, that was really great. So even when you were talking about, I guess, the dating process and how people find you, I know that there's like a lot of, I guess, anxiousness when it comes to like really talking about your dating life and like the things that go on in your dating life. So when you start talking to people about the process of dating, like what does that kind of look like as far as like the process that you kind of lay out for people as far as like getting to know someone?
Okay, the process of dating or the process of getting to know someone?
The process of getting to know someone.
Okay, so here's the thing with dating. A lot, and this is what my book's about, Break the Glass Slipper. People have these fairy tale fantasies about what they expect dating's supposed to be like. And they have this fairy tale expectation, men and women both do it, like what they think the first date the experience should be. And if you listen to people, and I've been, listening to people for years, they think there should be this big spark. They think there should be instant chemistry. They think there should be this instant connection, because we've been inundated with these. We watched Disney when we were growing up. So we were inundated as a child thinking when two people came together and it was love, there were the little birdies tweeting around their heads. There were the hearts coming out of their eyes. So people have this expectation that if that spark, if that chemistry is not there, then it wasn't meant to be. And so then you see people just say, oh, sorry, you're not a good fit or whatever. So what I do as a dating coach is I do my best. And it sometimes takes people a while to really let go of that fairy tale, because it's so like an attachment.
Yeah.
Let go of the attachment that there has to be this instant, amazing first date that knocks your socks off.
Yeah.
See dating more as getting to know someone, allowing time for a connection to develop. We don't put pressure on someone's going to be our best friend when we first meet a stranger, do we? We don't expect when we go into a new job that like we're instantly going to have like this deep bond with everybody we work with, right? No, we have this realistic expectation when we're going into a new group, if we're meeting someone new, that it's going to be gradually over time that we're going to develop a friendship and a connection. And I don't know about you, but I've met people where they're like kind of duds when I first meet them. And I'm not even talking about dating, even like a coworker. And I'm like, ooh, they're just kind of, I don't know about them. But then years later, they're my best friend, because over time, things unfold. So what I recommend for people is to see dating more as an allowance for a connection to happen over time, and to not put so much pressure on that first date, but to truly be in tune with what you value and what you're truly looking for, to have that be your compass.
Okay. So how important is like standards, right? Like even before you even meet that person, how important is to have a specific set of standards for yourself when it comes to dating?
Well, I mean, you have to.
Yeah.
Yes. That's all I'm going to say. Yes. But what kind of standards? We can go into that, because I do find that, again, people, like when I talk to people for the first time, I say, hey, what are you looking for? And most people say the same 4 to 5 things. Someone smart, someone funny, someone good looking, someone successful. Maybe even sometimes people say someone like in good shape.
Yeah.
That's what people are saying initially. So when they're going out on a date, they're looking, oh, am I attracted to them? Do I think they're good looking? Are they fun? They're looking for like very shallow things on some level, right? Like it's like no thought is really involved with it. It's just kind of, and sorry for you people who are saying that, don't think I'm insulting you. I'm just making this point that we need to go further as a society, especially if you're just dating and you're just wanting to have fun, fine. But if you're seriously wanting to find someone that does have long-term potential, you have to know yourself. You have to know what you value. You have to know what really you do need and want in a partner. And that's part of my job as a dating expert and coach, and also as a matchmaker, is to really get to the heart of the matter, like what really people really need and want. And it takes some guided introspection, which most people don't do on their own.
Yeah. And I guess a lot of that does tie into, I guess, a person's, belief system as well, right? So when it comes to like really getting to know someone and learning who a person is, as far as like what they believe in, what they stand for, that kind of stuff, like even doing that, I think that that's kind of important too. Like learning that person's like belief system. See if that belief system matches yours, right?
Yeah, but here's the thing, Josh. You have to know what your belief system is. Most people don't actually take the time to think, what do I actually value? You know, I was just working with a client yesterday and we were working through some stuff and, you know, he came to me on that first phone call. Yeah, I want someone who's pretty and blah, blah, blah. But like one of the characteristics that we actually came to was he wanted a grounded woman.
Yeah.
He wanted an affectionate woman.
Mm-hmm.
Trustworthy. These are the kind of characteristics that rose to the top after us working together. And then from there, he like, oh, this is actually the kind of woman I want. And then dating becomes so much easier because once you go through my process, I call it the dating compass process, then you're able to like, you'll know where you need to be going, who you need to be connecting with, how you need to be talking about who you're looking for. Instead of like, do you know someone who's good looking and smart and rich?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that ties back into what you were saying earlier when it comes to, you know, the superficial type stuff, like looking for what's superficial and not really looking for what's real, like the real, and not really being real, like realistic about your expectations, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I like what you said. You want to be realistic about your expectation. And I feel like it really, the pathway to get realistic is to get realistic about who you are and to do that deep work and figure out who you are and what you need. And like you said, you have standards. You actually don't let people into your field who are just, they're just a no.
Yeah.
And I get we feel lonely. I get like single people feel lonely and it makes us have sometimes make weird choices.
Yeah.
But in terms of the long-term game, it's like definitely we need to, it's dating is a sorting process at the end of the day. Like this one, yes, this one, no, this one, yes, this one, no.
So also with that, I guess, like sometimes I guess when we focus on the superficial, sometimes we miss stuff. Like we miss stuff that normally we would see if we weren't looking at like the person's like body or how much money they got or just eating stuff like that. Like how do you, I guess, you know, help people through that process of looking past what a person has, right?
Okay, so do you mean like when you meet someone that sometimes people choose to look past some of the things?
Yeah, no,
Is that
not
what you're
really.
pointing to?
No, not what they really choose to, but more like there are like some differences when it comes to meeting people, and those differences may not match up with your belief system or your standards.
Yeah.
But sometimes people overlook those because we're only looking at what's surface level.
Yeah.
And we're not really asking that question, right?
Yeah.
Or asking why that looks different.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's why I'm a big advocate for developing your dating compass. And that's the work that I do, is because when you show up fortified, grounded with the characteristics you're really looking for, like take integrity, for example. I had one client, one of the characteristics, the dating compass is 4 main characteristics. Hers was integrity.
Okay.
He showed up on a date with this guy. Oh, they had chemistry. Oh, they had a good time. He was into her. Blah, 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 blah. So we talked the next day. I was like, how did the date? She's like, it was great. We have chemistry. It was fun, good looking, whatever, right? Yeah. And then I started going through the dating compass points. And I said, okay, so how did he match up with integrity? And sometimes it's hard to know whether someone's in alignment with your values on the first date or not, but you have to kind of keep checking in as you're going through the dating process. So that's one of the things I do with my clients. So one of her points was integrity. So I said, how did he show up integrity? And she was like, well, he did talk to me about a shady business practice a deal that he was working on. And when he told me about it, it just seemed really shady and not right. And I was like, okay, does that fit with integrity? And she said, no. And I'm like, do you know what you need to do? And she's like, yeah, let him go. But if she did not have her dating compass, if she wasn't grounded in what she was really important to her, she would have kept dating that guy because he was hot.
You're right.
And then a year passes, a 2-year passes, and she's like, why did I step over that? This guy is like not in integrity. He's like, he's stealing from me now, you know?
Yeah. And subsequently, sometimes, you know, that It's out there. It happens. It happens sometimes. Like things, they just kind of get worse. They do, especially if we're not really, I guess, grounded on what we're looking for, right? Like grounded
Yeah.
on what's important to us and our value system, right?
Yes.
So so we're gonna kind of switch it up here. So when it comes to like dating individuals that have kids, right?
Yeah.
Is that like a different process from this traditional like? Well, I'm guessing it still works with I guess your process, which is the dating process. So it still works within that process. But to me, I'm thinking like whenever you date someone that has kids, you have to really ask those specific questions outside of just general dating questions, like how do they, spend time with their kids, or what fun activities do they do outside of work and things like that. Like asking questions that are past like your traditional dating question, right? Or is
Well,
that like different?
I mean, yes or no. I mean, the thing is, what I recommend with single parents that are dating is to really focus on getting to know the person. Sometimes parents who are so wrapped up in their kids that that's all they talk about. And so you don't want to show up on a date like just talking about your kids. I think it's appropriate to mention if you do have kids, if it comes up or something like that, but you want to definitely focus on who you are as a person and have it be more like the two of you connected. And because my process is a little more slower, allowing for the gradual getting to know people. And I don't encourage people to jump into a relationship right away. And it depends on like each situation, right? I mean, these are just guidelines. But in terms of single parents, I actually think you should get to a point with someone where you're really wanting to be exclusive with them. You really see a future with them. You've even had some serious conversations about things before you even introduce the kids. Just because kids are affected by things, and you want to make sure that whoever you're bringing into their lives, they're vetted, because you want to think of, and also another thing too, which when I talk to my single parents that have single parents who are clients, I ask them, who does their future partner need to be for their kids? And then they just light up like, wow, I never thought about that. I was just thinking about me. I'm like, no, we're integrating a human not only into your life, but your children's lives. So who do you want them to be for your kids? And then that just opens up a whole other dimension of like who this person actually really needs to be a good fit in the long term.
Yeah. And that is very important, especially if you have kids, to really just, again, take your time when it comes to getting to know someone, and then really just following a specific process to make sure that you have all of your questions answered, right? Because you don't ever want those unanswered questions just kind of lingering in the back of your head, in the back of your mind, especially when you have kids, right?
Like what? Tell me an example so I can get what you're like, where your mind is.
Like kind of what I was saying earlier when it comes to how an individual treats their kids, right?
Yeah.
Like how they actually take care of their kids, some of the activities that they do with their kids actually shows, to me, it actually shows a person's character. So if they treat their children like that well, or they do that much for their kids, imagine how they would treat you, right? Like imagine how they would pour some of that same love, some of that same effort into you. So that's actually like something, to me, that's something that's very important to actually just consider.
Yes. Yeah. And here's the thing, like, that's definitely a great question. Like you're curious, like, okay, so how do they treat their kids? But I'm not going to meet their kids for a while because I am wanting to consciously take it slow and stuff like that. So then if that's a priority, I want to make sure I'm with someone that treats their kids with love and respect. But you can't actually answer that question right away. And a lot of questions actually don't get answered right away. You could be dating someone for 6 months and you still don't have the questions answered, but you always have to keep your eye on, okay, it's a priority to be with someone who treats others with kindness and respect. That's my thing. So are they treating the waiter or the waitress with kindness, respect? Are they treating me with kindness and respect in how they talk about people at work or their business? Are they so you can start to collect the data that answers the value part of that question. And then once you actually meet their kids, then you can see it on the court. But a lot of times people show up to dates feeling like in interview mode, like they need to get all the questions answered. But then that just puts people off, right? It's just like, whoa, hey, I gotta get out of here. Take yourself off the hook, take the other person off the hook, and just really see that dating in the beginning stages is like you just want to see if you want to be exclusive. And getting to exclusivity could take 2 weeks, it could take 6 months. So you want to kind of see, like, do I even want to be exclusive? It really depends. Okay. And then once you're exclusive, then if you're marriage minded, which a lot of people are, then from exclusive, then to engagement, that's a whole other, like, you have to keep your eye open. You know, it's just like, once you get to exclusivity, doesn't mean you're married, doesn't mean you're committed to other. It's just a deeper level of staying open to, is this person going to be a long-term fit? And you have to be out of the fairy tale of it. You have to be out of the sexual chemistry of it. And you have to, like, really be grounded in your values and keep your eyes open, because once you say you're married, you know, that's a thing, you know, like, it's a big deal. And so people get married though, based on the fairy tales. And that's why we have a really high divorce rate.
Yeah, no, and I'm with you. And I have a considerable amount of clients that that come to me with particular issues as far as like communication and some trust issues and things like that. That if again, if we ask some of those particular questions and found out a lot of that stuff in the beginning, then it's kind of hard to kind of really just kind of get to that point in that process where all of a sudden we having those issues now. Like, so those issues have been present all along.
Oh,
like, those issues have always been there. but it's like, that's kind of what that process is, especially with you using your dating compass, is really setting specific goals, specific standards for you to actually look for, and just follow that process so you can kind of really just start spotting that stuff, really start working on that stuff. Like, I like it. Like, I really do. It's a very interesting process that you use, and I think it's like very effective. Like, it's really effective.
Oh, it's so effective. It makes dating so much more easy, especially the sorting process. Like, just take the example of integrity. Like, if that's one of your compass points, right? And again, it's a process, you know, you can't just pull them out of the sky, but like, even just that, the date, integrity. If you show up on a date, you're looking for indicators of someone having integrity, right? Like, they showed up on time. It's a small indicator. They're a person of their word. They showed up on time, right? You're keeping an eye out for that. As opposed to how most people show up on a date, whether is the chemistry off the charts?
Yeah.
And when they have that expectation, if it's not there, then it's boom. But if there's so many people that, like, they're like maybe a level 6, 7 attraction level on the first date. It was nice. They were respectful, whatever, but it didn't knock their socks off. Most people will let that person go. But there's so many examples, like, especially me, I encourage people, just go on another date. After 4 or 5 dates, the attraction builds. And then you're able to look for integrity, for example. I want people to start looking for the actual real qualities of a human being. And chemistry is important, I get it, but don't have that be the decision whether you choose to continue dating someone or not. Really have a strong foundation. And people can come to me if they want to learn more about that, but like, even just on your own, like, really base it more on values-based dating than chemistry-based dating. Because chemistry blooms, it really does.
It does, but I guess the society that we operate in sometimes, I guess it's easier to go superficial, right? Like, it's easier to kind of see what a person has, what a person looks like, all these things, that has absolutely nothing to do with value, right? Like don't have anything to do with, you know, how a person values themselves and values you.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to like a person that's trying to get back into the dating field but has particular trust issues, right?
Yeah.
How does that affect how a person can get to know someone if they have trust issues?
Well, there's so many ways that having trust issues can impact your dating life, because people pick up on it, especially depending on how transparent your trust issues are. You know, sometimes when people have trust issues, you know, if men have trust issues, maybe they don't trust women in general because they were hurt by a woman, or if a woman was hurt by a guy, then she may think, oh, all men are bad. You know, it's like vice versa, or, you know, depending on, you know, if a woman dates a woman, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think trust issues, everyone has them. So I think it's really safe to say that if you've dated before and you've been hurt on some level, you have a trust issue. On some level, it may be a little, maybe big, until you actually do the work to navigate through it and just to deal with what it is and to heal that and forgive that. To me, the dating process is a spiritual process. It really is a path of awakening, depth, even deeper relationship with yourself can be developed, because in order to be a powerful dater, you really need to be in tune with what you're feeling, what you're needing, and to be able to powerfully communicate that in a way that really lands for someone else. So it's really like, dating can be really confronting and scary and bring up all your trust issues, and you just want to run away. Like sometimes people just go on an app and they load the picture and they write a little bio, and then people start liking it and they're like, ah, and they take the app off their phone because all their trust issues come up, right?
Exactly.
But I think the work of getting healing yourself from that is a very powerful first step if you're aware that you have trust issues.
Yes, I'm guessing, like, I guess in your past, you've seen clients that actually they've experienced that, right? Like they have particular trust issues. Using, I guess, your compass technique, is that still as effective when a person has like trust issues like that too?
Well, if I notice that someone really has a lot of trust issues and they're actually a healthy human being, like I can't, you know, if they're a healthy human being, they have some trust issues, and maybe they're telling me about some divorce or some hard breakup, and it kind of shook their world. Like I work with people who have been cheated on, and it just really shakes them up. And they just have done their best to kind of move on, but it was a process. So I do have my process, my Jumpstart Your Heart process, which I will recommend people do first with me. Before we jump into the actual strategic on the court, how do you attract someone to date? Because at the foundation, if I'm showing you what your dating compass is, if I'm showing you where you need to go, if I'm telling you like how to understand the opposite sex kind of thing, it's not going to matter if you haven't like fully taken responsibility for your part in how the past relationship went. If you haven't really fully forgiven how that other person treated you, if you haven't fully created a healing context around what that was, and it's totally possible. I just worked with a client, she was totally cheated on, and she's been struggling with dating. We went through the process, and she was like, wow, I can't believe like how much this has really been a burden to me. I thought I could just move on. And she powerfully completed with him. She actually called him and she apologized for the things that she did in the relationship, because it was so easy to blame him because he cheated. But in our work together, she was actually able to see, oh, I actually stopped talking to him here. I stopped being affectionate with him. I got busy. I withdrew. And by her apologizing for her part in creating the distance between them, it set him free.
Oh, wow.
It set her free. And now that they're both free, now they can powerfully choose real love instead of like someone to fill your void because you have trust issues and you're in pain, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's definitely, to me, I think that's kind of why I asked that question, because sometimes when you operate I guess in a space where you do have some issues that are trust related, that causes you to kind of also miss some stuff too, because you don't really trust your own judgment to a point.
Totally.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
do not trust themselves. They're like, am I going to make the wrong choice again? I don't want to make the wrong choice. I made the wrong choice. People need to forgive themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of what I've seen too, is not trusting yourself enough to really just step out there and allow someone to come to you, right? And that's basically what it is. Like, that's to me, I think that's kind of that process, especially when it comes to getting to know someone new, is yes, you take a step, but that person has to take a step also. Like, it's not like you taking the full step. The other person has to take some steps too in order for you to truly get to know someone, right?
Mm-hmm. People definitely need to each take steps and share genuinely with one another in considering that you're talking to a stranger, so you don't want to be dumping about all the baggage that you have on the first date. Save that for after you're exclusive. Don't scare people away with all your baggage. There's no need. They're a stranger. People forget that they're actually talking to a stranger. There's no need to go into too much intimate detail on a first date.
And you're right. You're definitely right. So to me, I think that, the process, or having a specific process of getting to know someone and really getting to know yourself, is highly important. Like, it's so super important. It's so super important to really know yourself before you get out there and actually really start connecting with different people.